another episode of Routes Through Pokemon. I'm Dragon Tamer Ruby.
And I'm Dragon Tamer Shea Locke.
And this is Route 15, where we make our way to the Dragon Gym with some fun things along the way. But first, let's catch up with what we've been doing. I recently was looking up a Pokemon to try and draw it. I think it was Gyarados. And there was this weird little thing in the corner of my phone. And I was very confused. So I just drew it and whatever. Didn't turn out good, sadly. But then I decided to click on it. And a Pokeball came up and it caught the Gyarados. And then it gave me a clue for the next Pokemon in a silhouette. And so you can catch a bunch of Pokemon on there, which I thought was really nifty.
Yeah, there was I think there was a promotional aspect to it, but yeah, it was just the whole thing Google was doing to have some Pokemon stuff where you can catch the original 151, and I had known about it, but I hadn't really done anything with it, and so when you were talking about it, I'm like, yeah, I should actually check this out a little bit more, and so yeah, I was having a lot of fun. I'm at 101, 102 Pokemon so far.
Oh, I wasn't as invested. I thought it was cool and fun, and I want to show him. And then he's taking it the extra mile.
Yeah, I got to finish it.
It might still be going on.
Yeah, I think it goes on still, yeah.
Should try that out. On Google, just look up a Pokemon's name.
And if you want a little more interest in your attempts to catch these Pokemon, start with the legendaries and see what happens. I do have the 3 legendary birds and Mewtwo.
Nice.
We did finally get Super Boss Monster to the table, and it was a little slow going, trying to refresh on some of the rules and get things squared away and get everybody caught up on it.
It was a little frustrating and confusing at first, but once we got caught on, then yeah.
And hopefully we'll get another game in maybe today so that we can build off of what we learned so that we have it more firmly in place on how to play the game.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I finally have the pattern memorized on how we activate.
I don't know if your mom does.
No, she doesn't. She was sitting next to me, though, so I helped her out. Because you were constantly doing something, and so she would be like, what are we doing now? I'm like, all right, you got to choose your place and then put your little minion guy out. Pretty sure that's what we're doing anyway.
Pretty sure.
Yeah, there was something that we both thought for sure was how, you built something, advanced rooms, but it wasn't. You had said otherwise, and that kind of got washed away with all the other rules.
Yeah.
So that was a little frustrating. But it'll be fine.
It's all good. I purposely kept it vague and everything so I could win.
You did win, didn't you?
I did win. That's the only reason I said that.
Mom and Rosella were doing really good, so we had to send some blood their way.
Yes.
Yeah. I lost. And, when we got to, the...
Well, everybody lost except for me, because I won.
Oh. I got 4th. But when we got to, the 2 souls and 2 wounds, I didn't get any of those cards. I got a total of 4 cards the entire game. It was very difficult.
Yeah. It's a tricky game.
Mm-hmm. It would have been better to have started with a couple of different cards, played a few different cards, and chose a different thing.
But now you know.
But you just said it doesn't matter, just choose one, and so I chose one.
We all did that, including me.
Yeah, you lucked out.
Sure.
But it was still fun to play. Alright, well, since we're all caught up on what we've been doing, let's get into the video game.
Alright, well, where do we start, Ruby?
We start after the radio tower, and so we're going our separate ways.
Why is that?
Because I have the rainbow wing, you have the silver wing, so we're going to go get our legendary Pokemon.
Yeah, we are. And so, did you want to cover your Tin Tower first?
Sure.
Go for it.
Alright, so I went to Tin Tower, and I was able to go farther. Of course, because I had my silver or rainbow wing.
Yeah, because when we went there in the past after beating Morty in Gold and Silver, the guy's like we were able to get through the one guy, but then once we got to the base of Tin Tower, there was a guy there that's like, hey, come back when you have the rainbow wing.
Okay. I don't remember where we stopped.
Yeah.
So sorry, mine's going to be a little less detailed. Yeah, I went in, and it's kind of like a cave where you can be attacked anywhere, but I think that's with all the towers. Going my way up, and I run into these little jump things, which are really fun, until they're not.
Like little ramps or whatever?
Yeah, you just boing, boing, boing onto each one. And it's super fun. And it's a huge puzzle of complication. And I finally get a bit figured out, and I keep messing up after I, okay, well, I'm going up. There's 3 staircases, and I chose the right one to start, so I just wanted to check the other ones out, and they were just dead ends. So I finally got past the first floor, and every time I was about to do it right, it would just boing the other way, and it was so frustrating. I did it so many times. And there were some Pokeballs that I got. Nothing too interesting, I don't think. I feel like there was one thing. I don't even know if I got all the Pokeballs. Because I finally get to another floor. I'm like, okay, this is getting actually kind of easy. Well, they can't let it get easy. Let's throw some teleportation in. So there are these just teleporting spots.
Oh, did they have teleporting spots? I didn't even know.
I did tell you.
I don't remember, I guess.
Yeah. But yeah, they teleported.
You love the teleporting puzzles of Silph and the Sabrina gym?
No, I don't. But with the gym, you could kind of see where all the teleporting things ended up. You didn't know which one went where, but you kind of could see.
Yep.
This one, you went to a different room completely.
Well, that was like the Sylph Company. You would go to different floors for crying out loud.
Yeah, well, I think I did go to different floors. It was very difficult. I finally make my way to this other place, and I'm like, what's this? It's different. And then I try to go off the edges. I'm like, this doesn't work. I walked up, and
That's because it was a roof.
Yeah, I figured out it was a roof later. And so I walk forward, and I go, oh, Ho-Oh! So I found Ho-Oh, and so I have to save, of course.
Of course.
And so I work on fighting Ho-Oh. He beats me so many times.
Do you have any idea how many times it took you?
Probably. Okay, well, when I was sitting there, I probably tried about 10 times. I probably tried 3 times later. And then eventually I just kept clicking buttons while playing games on my phone. And so then I kept clicking buttons. And then I sit there and I check on where I'm at. And I go, oh, it's caught. I did have a strategy, so I was paying a little bit of attention.
Right.
I probably sat there for 2 minutes being like, I'm caught now. What should be doing? But yeah, to get it to sleep before it use safeguard, because that means I couldn't put it to sleep, or fire, holy fire, because that would knock out my victory bell, and my victory bell was the only one who could put it to sleep.
Right.
Very, very difficult. But I finally caught it, and I named him Ho-Ho, because I didn't know what to name him.
Yeah, So then for me, and what you'll have to do later.
What I have to do later?
Yeah, eventually you're going to have to get the Silver Wing and do this too.
No, yours was harder.
Mine's not hard at all.
You were very confused by the tunnels, the caves.
I was not confused. I got annoyed at one point, but I was not confused by them.
Oh.
So, I go off to Cyanwood. I just fly off to the Pokemon Center there, so I can get started on the Whirl Islands. And I sailed, east from Cyanwood and aimed kind of southwish and hit the first island there. So I hit the southwest island out of the 4 islands. And I got to know the southwest island really well. Southwest and the southeast. I guess I got the southern islands I got to know really well. So anyway, I start on the southwest island and I'm exploring it, getting everything I can, and I find that I've come out on the southeast island. So then I head back to Cyanwood to recover again and set out once more. And I hit up the northwest island, which ends up putting me back in the southern islands a couple of times because of the cliffs I jumped off of. And there was one, right when I went to jump off the cliff, I'm like, wait, I know where I am. And it was too late.
Oopsie-daisy.
So then I had to go there. And then finally, after exploring every path through those, I hit the northeast island. And that one, there's a little bit of a branchy path for a couple. I think there's Pokeballs on both of them or something. Or maybe on the one that, quote unquote, I did not want. And I was like, I bet if I go down there, I'm going to find myself in the southern islands again and have to go do this again. But I did it anyway. And sure enough, was back in this other islands, having to go back. And so then I take the other path, which does take me to a waterfall that I drop down. And down there, I do finally encounter Lugia. And you had already been at Ho-Oh by the time I had found Lugia.
I had not caught Ho-Oh.
No, but you had gotten there. No, I caught Lugia sooner than you got Ho-Oh.
Mm-hmm. We got him in the same day, though.
Yes, it was all the same day. We just had a couple of little breaks in there because I think I had to go somewhere or something.
I had to go somewhere, too.
Yeah, maybe. I don't know. But the point is that, yeah, I had like 3 Ultra Balls, I think. 2 or 3. Some of them I got in the Whirl Island caves. And it took me about 4 or 5 tries to catch Lugia. And like every time I failed, like I start off with Gengar doing hypnosis and stuff, and I switched to like Gaia, my Golem, because he was great at not taking too much damage from Lugia's attacks, and had a super effective rock throw because of the flying type and everything, I think.
Where did the Silver Wing become useful for you?
What do you mean?
Like, was there someone blocking the caves before that said you needed the Silver Wing?
That's actually a really good question, because we never visited the Whirl Islands.
Because we know the Rainbow Wing let me through, but...
I don't know what the Silver Wing specifically did. From my understanding, you won't find Lugia there, whether it's because you're blocked or he just won't be there. I don't know. But if you don't have the Silver Wing, he won't be there.
Maybe I have to go visit the Whirl Islands and see where they've stopped me.
Sure. That'd be an interesting thing to explore for sure.
Because I was just thinking, like, yeah, you went through and you did that, but where did they use the Silver Wing?
Well, if you do that, start at the Northeast Island and take the north path when there's a branch of north and south paths.
Okay. I'll try that.
And like I used all my Ultra Balls and everything, and it just wasn't working out. But on the time that it finally did work, he went to sleep, I did my damage, and I threw only 1 Ultra Ball, and Lugia was caught. And I named mine Silver.
Nice.
And then, that was Gold and Silver. Crystal had a whole different thing going on. So, Crystal got the Clear Bell, not any of the wings. And when I went to Tin Tower after beating Morty, I couldn't even get to the path that took you to the base of the tower. There was like 3 sage guys blocking me and saying, hey, you can't come through here yet. I don't remember exactly what they said. So when I go this time, those 3 guys, well, actually the guy that used to block us from even getting to the underground path to go over there, he's like, hey, you can't go. Oh, you have the Clear Bell. Never mind, you're good. So I'm like, okay. And then I get there, and those 3 guys are blocking me again. And they're like, hey, you have the Clear Bell, something or another, but we need to test you to make sure you're worthy to go further. So they're all going to battle me. And they all start with a Noctowl as their first Pokemon. When I fought the second guy, I realized what we were up to. Even the first one, I was pretty sure I knew how this was all going to go, because the first one sent out Noctowl. When I beat Noctowl, then Flareon came out. So the second sage had Noctowl and then Jolteon. And the final one had Vaporeon, which those are the 3 elements of the 3 legendary beasts as well.
Yep.
So it makes sense if I'm on my way to go get Suicune that they're going to end with Vaporeon. When I beat the second sage, he told me, because they all had something to tell me, and he told me that there were 2 9-tier towers, so towers with like 9 floors or whatever, in Ecruteak. The Tin Tower and the Brass Tower. So now we know what the Burn Tower used to be known as. And it was said a silver Pokemon roosted atop the Brass Tower, and then lightning struck about 150 years ago and engulfed it in flames for 3 days. And then there was a sudden downpour that came and put the fire out. And then the Brass Tower became known as Burned Tower. So that was cool little history that I got from him. And then when entering the Tin Tower, after I beat these guys, I get to go forward, and I go inside the Tin Tower, and all 3 legendary beasts are standing over there. And then Entei and Raikou run off, and Suicune jumps down and starts the battle. And once again, it took me about 4 or 5 attempts to catch Suicune. And this one I needed to use 2 Ultra Balls in my final catch that I got. But then right after after catching Suicune, Yucine shows up and mentions the Rainbow Bird might appear now that Suicune was caught, or something along those lines.
Oh.
I'm pretty sure I still need the wing to go get it, but I don't know. And after that, the 3 sages that battled me also show up again, and they give me more history. So we learn that 3 Pokemon burned up in Brass Tower, and Ho-Oh is the one who resurrected them, giving them new life, kind of like what we learned in the anime. And the two towers were created to foster friendship between humans and Pokemon, and were built 700 years ago. And when the souls of Pokemon and humans commune, then a rainbow bird descends from the heavens, according to legend. Which all, like, flowed into a lot of the ideas that were in for Ho-Oh the Bellsdoll. About wanting humans and Pokemon to get along and all that stuff. And
Yep.
so yeah, that was my Silver and Crystal journey to some legendary stuff. So I got Suicune that I think I named it Sea, like as in the ocean.
Sounds good.
So, with those legendary creatures caught in our 3 games, what did we do next?
So, after we finished our 3 separate journeys, we went over to, well, we probably flew over to Mahogany Town.
Yeah, we went back to Mahogany.
Well, flew/rode, because you flew.
Yes, I did.
I rode halfway, and I was like, ooh, you know what's smart? Flying!
Yup.
But it was too close, so I decided to ride the rest of the way, I think.
I mean, it's not that far from Eckerteak to Mahogany if you take the water and not go through Mount Mortar.
I didn't go through Mount Mortar.
Perfect.
But then, Rage Candy Bar guy wasn't there no more.
Woohoo!
Mm-hmm.
Good riddance.
Mm-hmm. No one liked him. So we go over there. Well, I go over there while you're doing something or another.
That's probably organizing some Pokemon or something.
I don't know, but like I was like, okay, now that we're both here, we're gonna go through. But you didn't go through, so I fought the guy, and then I came back because you hadn't fought the guy yet. But yeah, there was a little guy there.
Maybe I went to get a haircut again. I don't know.
Why would you do that? Oh, maybe you did that and then flew over?
Yeah, I think so.
That sounds about right, because then I flew to Goldenrod, haircut, flew back.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Something like that happened. But we both fought that little guy right there.
Yep, on Route 44.
Yeah. And then we moved on, and there was this little lake, and I decided to go up. Well, above the lake made you go below it, because you're below.
Yeah, you said I had to go the other way since you took one way.
But I insulted you in some way.
Oh, by saying that I'm lower than you?
Yeah, something like that.
I barely registered it.
You commented back.
Oh, I'm sure I did.
I don't remember what we said, but yeah. So I went up, you went down, and we both fought some trainers.
Yeah, there was plenty. A lot of cool trainers, or there was at least a couple cool trainers on the southern side where I was going through. Fisherman, I think, was one of them.
I also had a fisherman.
Yeah, and there was another guy up there. Who was he? He's the one with the cool, like, jacket, cloak type thing.
Magician?
I don't think they're called magicians. I don't remember what they're called, though.
I don't remember. I think I had, 3 people up, and you had, 2 people down there.
No, there was 3. There was one right by the water, and then there was 2 more after that.
Oh. Oh, yeah.
And then just beyond, because it was a circle, right? It was just a big circle around the lake. Circle. But just beyond the circle, there was a path, and there was a bird keeper up there that we also had a battle.
We both did the whole circle and fought everybody.
And I deleted pretty much all my phone numbers so I could get all the new phone numbers.
I didn't, because I don't often fly back there, so...
I think I kept Ralph's number, because I know that there's supposed to be, Quillfish Swarm or something where he's at, but I'm waiting for that phone call again.
Yeah. So we both went around there. Then we went in the water to explore it. I don't think there was anything in the water itself, was there?
Oh, I think there was, Magikarp or something out there.
Well, yeah. And there was definitely a Poliwag. And this one guy yelled at us for letting the Poliwag get away. It was a very long one. Blah, blah, blah. So I think there's, Poliwag and Magikarp.
Pokemaniac. That's what the name of the guy is.
Oh.
With the funky jacket and the long hair.
Sounds about right.
Anyway, go on.
And then there's this little patch of grass with a Pokeball, which I knew was there because when I was going by, I was like, that's a Pokeball, not the head of a person. I was right.
Yep.
You didn't believe me.
Okay.
Well, you were surprised or something when we saw it. I don't remember what.
Okay.
I remember what was in the Pokeball. Do you remember what was in the Pokeball?
No.
But in the grass.
Yeah, it's the only grass on that route.
Yeah, it was. In the grass there was Tangela, and it was the first one I caught. Lickitung!
And you didn't catch the Tangela right away. You had to go back later.
Yeah.
I had to do that with one.
Wasn't the Tangela more common, though?
I don't remember.
I think it was.
Probably.
And I got the Lickitung more than the Tangela.
Yeah, you have a weird luck.
See what we do later.
Yeah.
Okay.
But I did catch both of mine while I was there.
I didn't. But then we moved on.
Yep.
What was next?
And Crystal, because I did a lot of that later after we finished with Gold and Silver, and so when I did it with Crystal, it was at night, and I think one of them doesn't show up at night, so I only was able to catch one, and I had to come back later to get the other. And that happened with me in the next section, too, the Ice Path. There were certain Pokemon I had to go back for.
Yes, the Ice Path. That was fun.
I really liked it.
Confusing, but fun.
I really enjoyed it.
I liked it a lot. There is Swinub and Jinx. And, I didn't find a Swinub for a little while, actually.
Well, what was interesting is we weren't even attacked a lot at first, even when we were walking around where the boulders were. Like, I could understand when we're not on the ice, you don't get attacked on the ice, that's fine. But even when we were walking around with all the boulder pushing, like, we did get into encounters, but it wasn't as common as it seems it usually is.
I don't know, when we were pushing boulders, I felt like it was common enough.
Yeah, okay. But, yeah, we had a couple of ice puzzle slides to do, and there was one that was a big one. That was, like, the harder one to figure out.
Yeah, it was still fun to do.
Oh, it was a lot of fun to do. But what was crazy is when I came back in Crystal, I'm like, oh, yeah, I know exactly what to do. And I go and do a couple of, like, button pushes to get where I thought I needed to be, and then I'm like, because I wasn't paying that close attention, and I'm like, wait a second. These blocks aren't in this... What the... So that one took me a little bit to figure out again, because I was like, oh, I have to solve a new puzzle.
Yep. So we went and did that.
After the big ice puzzle, there was a smaller ice puzzle just off to the right, because we need to go up some stairs next, but to get further in the dungeon, or cave, or whatever. But before going there, we wanted to get a Pokeball that was to the right that had a little ice puzzle. And that's an important one. What did we get?
Oh, I don't remember.
HM Waterfall.
Ooh.
Which is another thing we can't use outside of battle until we get our next badge. Like with Whirlpool and Surf and all that jazz.
So we're going about the cave, or ice path, and you keep running into Swinub. Well, not keep. You run into Swinub. I don't trust you that the Swinub are not the rare ones.
Because you don't see a single one forever.
Yeah, there's a few Jinx in there, but not Swinub.
Yeah, you ran into Jinx like at least 3 times before we were done.
And then when I go back to level up, I run into like 5 Jinx and like 2 Swinub.
It's ridiculous.
Like, how does that even work?
Yeah. In fact, you ended up catching 2 Jinx because I wasn't running into them. I think I eventually ran into one later after I had caught one in Crystal.
Huh.
So I didn't need to catch one though. Like you already got it. I was able to trade things around. So like, or maybe I did get. I don't remember. No, yeah. So you got Crystal's Jinx, and the 2 Jinx you caught went to like Silver and Crystal. So everybody still gets like a easy to level up Jinx. You know.
How rude! I already started leveling that one up.
I told you were gonna have to trade it anyway. What?
Actually, you didn't.
I did.
Not before I started leveling it up.
Okay.
Because we said that would just be my Jinx. So I was like, okay. Then after, I was like, yeah, it doesn't level up as fast. And you're like, oh, I can trade that around.
Okay.
So we did.
Sounds good.
What else happened?
Well, there's the boulder puzzle.
Wasn't that in the gym?
I mean, there was some boulder stuff in the gym, but there was definitely a lot more boulder puzzle in the ice path.
Oh, you talk about that part.
Sure. So, after the big ice puzzle, and then getting the waterfall, we continue down and we end up on a new floor, which has a bunch of holes and boulders. And if you drop down the hole, you end up on a giant ice skating rink that has nothing for you to do to get to the center where the next ladder is. So you go back up and you start pushing boulders where they need to go. Once you get all the boulders down the holes, then you can use those to get to where you need to get to. Mm-hmm. And that was also fun. And once again, in Crystal, it was different. The boulders were pretty much started in all the same places, and the path was pretty much the same shape, but there was a lot more going on and a lot more tight quarters, it felt like, and so you definitely had to be a little bit more precise, I think, on some of them. But yeah, so the puzzle wasn't exactly the same, so there was still some trickery around there. And then we ended up in like a little small path area that had like a rock that we could rock smash, but you didn't have to. You could just go around it. And then there was kind of another sort of ice puzzle where you jump off a cliff to get to the thing. But getting to the ladder was easy. It was getting to the Pokeball that was slightly trickier, but it wasn't that bad. There was like another one of those after that too. And there was one where you had to like ice skate around to get to the path to the left, but there was another path south of that one that got you another Pokeball. But that one wasn't too challenging to get to either. In fact, I got that one while you were still kind of catching up through one section, and you were very angry with me. So then I'm like, all right, I'm just staying right here.
Yeah, you started going way ahead of me while I was still trying to get those boulders down.
Well, you took way too long with the boulder puzzle.
I had to go back and get my Gengar to push the boulders.
Oh, that was part of it, but you also like...
No, not that many times, though. You kept being like, oh, you're just taking forever. I'm like, no, it didn't take that much longer.
You weren't very efficient in your pushing of boulders.
And I might have had to reset like 2 more times than you. But that is it. And that took like, what, 20 seconds at the most?
Not 20 seconds.
Yes! 20 seconds.
Anyway.
You went way ahead of me without any good reason.
Sure.
It's true.
So.
Usually I complain about it and it's like not as true. But no, this time it was.
Okay. Also, while we're down there, I found an exclusive to Silver Pokemon. Although it's in Crystal as well, so I was able to get one there. And that was Delibird.
Surprised I didn't find a Delibird.
It was exclusive to Silver and Crystal, which means you can't find it in Gold. It's a 0%. You can't beat 0%.
That's what you think.
It is what I think.
Didn't give me a chance. Oh, and when we caught our swine up, I had this great idea for the names.
Yes, you did.
And we named them Swine?
No.
No. Swine?
No.
Swi?
No.
And Ub.
Sue.
Sue.
Ein. And Ub.
Soon, Ein, Ub.
Sue.
Ein, Ub. The same as that episode that we watched with the hot springs.
Yes. And in Crystal, I also caught a Jinx, like I said, and a Delibird. But I also encountered another Pokemon that we did not see at all. And that is Sneasel.
Yes!
So that was exciting. One other thing about Crystal, though, is that the ice path was so cool looking.
Oh?
I showed you, remember? It's all like...
Oh, yeah!
Very, very white and crystally and stuff.
And crystally?
Yes, and crystally. Then we finished the ice path, and where did we come out?
In Blackthorn City.
That's right.
Yes, I got it right! Oh, wait, yeah, because I remember going back in. Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
And so then we explored the town, and what are some of the stuff we found there?
We found... Behind the gym, there was this place called the Dragon's Den, but this old little persnickety guy didn't let us in.
Yeah, why wouldn't he?
Because we weren't Dragon Masters.
Yeah, we didn't have a dragon Pokemon.
Which is why we didn't find any new trainers this time. So that's why we were Dragon Tamers in the beginning, because we had to be Dragon Tamers to go in there.
Yep. What's weird is that you didn't need dragon Pokemon to go in there. Like he said you did, but you didn't. However, in Crystal, he made a little bit more sense. He just says, you just need permission from Claire, which is the gym leader.
Mm-hmm. But, like, he didn't want to let us in the second time either. Like, when we did finally go in, he was like, well, since Master Claire has allowed it, you can...
Oh, that's true. He did do that, didn't he?
Yes. So he still didn't want to let us in because we weren't Dragon Tamers.
Yeah, and we also found somebody in town that wanted a Dragonair in a trade, but specifically a female one, which I thought was interesting. So you need to catch the right kind of Dratini or Dragonair. If it's the Dratini, then evolve it, and so you can trade to get whatever it is she has to give you.
Are you talking about in the Dragon's Den?
No, I'm talking about in town.
Oh, good, because I'm like, we're skipping a lot here.
No, nope. I mean, you've already kind of revealed that we beat Claire.
No, we didn't beat Claire, you guys. Shocker.
I mean, it was pretty obvious we would, but...
I was a little nervous going into the battle with Claire, though.
Before that, though, there was another cool thing I thought we found in town at the Pokemart. Mm-hmm. What could we finally buy?
Ultra Balls!
Ultra Balls. We can buy the Ultra Balls now, and I'm very excited about that.
We each have a few of those.
Just a few.
Like 20 or something.
Something like
You
that.
have less than me.
Yeah, you bought a lot more than I did.
I wanted Ultra Balls.
We also met the Saturday person of the weekday family or whatever. Santos, I think his name was.
Yep.
And he gave us, I forget what it was called. It had something to do with spell in the name. But it increases ghost move power, which I'm kind of excited about. Because usually the items that they give us increase the power of a type of Pokemon. So
He was kind of weird, but that makes sense.
Yep.
I mean, they like certain days of the week. Like, come on.
Yes.
No wonder they're weak.
So then, I think that's all that was super standout in Blackthorn City. So besides the gym itself, so we go into the gym, and what do we find there? What's this gym look like?
Lava everywhere.
Yep.
And so, like, yeah, we talked to this dude, the usual, yo champ, in the making.
Yeah, that guy.
But he's the same guy from the other gyms, I think.
Maybe he's a robot. Maybe they're all robots.
But he's like, now that we finally made it to the end, like, together is what it sounded like. It was really weird, because it's like, why wouldn't you have one at every gym and just have one for us?
Sure.
Bit creepy. But, yeah, we go fight the first trainer, and then we've got to go up these stairs.
Yeah, because we can't cross the lava.
And there's more boulder puzzle. So what do I have to go do again? Get Ghastly. Not Ghastly.
Gengar.
Which was a little frustrating. But I did it.
Yeah, and everybody in there, most of them had Dratini or Dragonair to fight. Some had, like, Horsey and Seadra, which aren't dragon types, but Seadra can evolve into a dragon type. However, there was one trainer, he was next to one of the boulders, and it was the boulder that we didn't actually need to push down. But he mentioned something about training Pokemon that would be good against dragon Pokemon, and all he had were Horsey and Seadra. And I don't see how they're good against dragon Pokemon unless they have a natural ability to learn, like, Ice Beam or something, but I don't know if they do.
I don't think that's what he said.
It's what he said.
I thought he said, like, I'm above using dragon Pokemon. I'm so much more powerful than them. And then he said out a Horsey. And then he said out a Seadra. And we're like, what?
Yeah, because he thinks that they're better than dragon Pokemon.
Okay.
But they're just ones that evolve into dragon Pokemon. Like, it didn't make sense. What he said did not make sense with his Pokemon.
Correct. We can agree on that. No matter what he said. It didn't make sense.
Listeners, you can probably trust me. I have a better memory.
That is not true!
Oh, it's not, is it?
Nope.
You didn't even remember that we exited right into Blackthorn. You were excited that you got it right.
Okay, maybe it is true, but I'm right on this. I knew it. Because I'm the one who told you what it said.
Okay. But anyway, after solving the boulder puzzles, we had a couple more trainers to get through before we finally hit Claire. And what did she have for us?
Oh, gosh. She had a Dragonair, I think.
Nope.
Dragonite?
She had 3 Dragonair.
Oh.
We had to plow through 3 of her Dragonair.
And she had like a Sea King or whatever that one's called.
Yeah, Sea King, Goldine's evolution, that's right.
I didn't remember what it was called. Kingdra.
Kingdra.
See, they're both kings.
I know. I'm just giving you a hard time. But yes, she did bring out Kingdra. That's her kind of like special Pokemon then. And that was pretty cool. There wasn't a single Dragonite in that gym, which I thought was also very interesting. It's almost like people knew that Dragonite wasn't as cool as Dragonair.
And, like, yeah, it was a little bit difficult to get through, but not that hard. I think I defeated it before you.
Yeah, you might have, actually.
And you're like, you're already done? I'm like, yeah.
Yeah, I don't remember.
Wasn't as bad as Brock's gym.
No, not even close.
No, Brock. But yeah, we defeat it.
But, just like Whitney, except without the crying part, she did not give us our badge.
No, she didn't. She wants us to prove ourselves and get the Dragonfly.
Which is where?
In the Dragon's Den.
That's right.
You have to use a Meowth accent if you're going to say that's right.
Let's see. Yeah, I can't pull it up right now.
And you can't say that's right.
Okay.
Okay, good.
That's right.
Okay, so we're going to go to the Dragon's Den. And so we go up there, and like I said already, he was annoyed that he had to let us in, but he let us in. So we go in there, and there's this little fence, and then you can go off at the end into water. And then you can go left or right, still go into water. And there's a couple other patches of land. I don't think there were any trainers, were there?
There's not a single trainer, nope.
Yeah, but there's a lot of water, and you kept running into Pokemon, but I did not.
Yeah, I don't know what that was about, but yep.
And there was a whirlpool, so we had to calm that.
Yep. Yeah, we needed a whirlpool.
And I found out you, just stopped the whirlpool by going the other way.
Yeah, you hadn't had to deal with whirlpools yet, because you hadn't been to the Whirl Islands.
Correct. And so I go down there, and I get the Dragon Fang, because it was in a Pokeball.
Yep.
But the funny thing is, I got down there, and I open it up, I go, ooh, Dragon Fang, that sounds cool.
Forgetting exactly what we're supposed to be doing.
Yeah. But we got it, and then I asked Daddy if he had gone into this temple yet, because there was a temple for dragons. And he goes, wait, you can go in there? There was no door.
Yeah, because I had already explored that little island, which was partly why I was behind where you were at that point.
Yeah.
But what had happened after we got the Dragon Fang?
Oh, did she come down there?
Yeah.
All right. And so I had to wait forever. Not as long as Brock, but forever.
What? You had to wait for me?
Yeah.
Because you were ahead of me?
We agreed to explore that little area. I thought you got ahead of me when we agreed to explore, but you just charging ahead was unacceptable.
I wasn't even charging. I was meandering ahead in the ice path.
No, you were rocket boosters.
Yeah, just call me Team Rocket, I guess.
What?
Rocket boosters.
What? But you can't do a Meowth accent, so you must not be part of Team Rocket.
Oh my.
So she came down and talked to us, and she said...
Well, she reluctantly gave us our badge and mentioned that we now have all 8 badges, so we can take on the Elite Four, which she said were on Indigo Plateau, which is where the Elite Four were in Kanto. So that actually means we get to move on to the same final destination as the first games, which is kind of cool.
Mm-hmm. Is that all she said?
That's all I can remember.
Okay. And so you're making your way back, and I ran into one Pokemon in total at the very end. And it was a decent little chunk of water. And so you're like, oh, we need Dragonite in here.
Dratini.
Dratini. So I start fishing, and there's my Dratini.
Right away.
And I catch it.
Right away.
And then I walk away. And then I go heal, and I save, and then I do all my stuff. And then I'm about to come back in to help you go get another Dratini. But then you got one.
I did. I finally got one. Yep.
It took you long enough.
It did. It did not take me so long in Crystal. Sort of.
Oh, yes. Talk about Crystal.
So in Crystal, when I go into the Dragon's Den, the layout is the same, pretty much. However, there are trainers down there. A few of them, and I fight through them. One's another group of twins who do kind of cry about me winning, kind of like Whitney does.
Patheticness.
But on the bottom half of the Dragon Shrine, because you have to go through the water because there's a fence that kind of breaks up part of the island with the Dragon Shrine, there actually is a door inside. So I go in there, and there's some guys in there that are all like, hey, we're going to quiz you to make sure you're worthy. And I'm like, okay, let's give it a shot. And all my answers were considered good answers. Most of them were really easy because there was 2 good ideas and one that's bad. I hesitated because I didn't know that there were 2 answers for most of the questions that were considered correct. So I'm like, ooh, this one sounds correct, but so does this one. But that's because they both were. So, I mean, my chances of getting right answers were good. But
that's how easy they were. What do you consider your Pokemon? Your low weakling or your friend or your buddy?
Yeah, basically. However,
that wasn't exact word.
The last question, I believe there was only one correct answer, but I got that one too, and it wasn't that hard, really.
What was it?
Strong Pokemon, weak Pokemon, which is more important? And you could choose strength or weakness or both, and both is the correct answer. Mm-hmm. And so when you get everything correct, and I had to go back for it because I had to go drop off a Pokemon, but he gives you a Dratini with a move that a Dratini normally doesn't get to have in that generation, unless you get it with these right answers. It's called Extreme Speed. I haven't used it, so I don't know what it does, but I'm excited about it. But after I win, or answer correctly, I should say, Claire shows up, and she's like, ha, I knew you wouldn't get them right. And then she finds out, oh, I did. And I am I get like a title or something, I think. I don't remember. But she's really frustrated because apparently she still hasn't answered the questions correctly. And the last person to have succeeded was Lance. So that was kind of exciting. Some talk about Lance up there. And then I went off. Well, then she has her conversation about the Elite Four stuff, I think. And then I get the Dragon Fang. And yeah, so then she mentions we're going to have to use Surf to get to the Indigo Plateau. And when we leave the cave, we also actually did get a phone call or something from Professor Elm.
Oh, yeah, I had to wait for you to come up and do that, too.
Mm-hmm. And he just says that he has something for us. So we need to head back to New Barktown, which is fine because we have to go to New Barktown and surf east to get to the Indigo Plateau area. So yeah, that will be our next destination. But we're not going to fly to New Barktown because we still have a route to explore on the way down.
Oh, Dratini.
What about Dratini?
Well, instead of saying Drat, I said Dratini.
Gotcha. But yeah, and that was our journey through the Blackthorn City.
It was fun.
It was super fun, and now we get to take on the Elite Four.
Frustrating and interesting, but still fun.
I had a blast.
And the Jinx and Dratini were ridiculously easy. I don't know what your problem with that was.
Yeah.
What?
Same with Tangela. Piece of cake.
Wasn't that hard. Speaking of Pokemon, let's do our Pokedex entries.
All right.
Who's that Pokemon?
Crobat. Bat. Number 169. The development of wings on its legs enable it to fly fast, but also makes it tough to stop and rest.
It flies so silently through the dark on its 4 wings that it may not be noticed even when nearby.
As a result of its pursuit of faster yet more silent flight, a new set of wings grew on its hind legs.
Azumarill, Aqua Rabbit, number 184. By keeping still and listening intently, it can tell what is in even wild, fast-moving rivers.
The bubble-like pattern on its stomach helps it camouflage itself when it's in the water.
When it plays in water, it rolls up its elongated ears to prevent their insides from getting wet.
Castle needs that.
Yeah.
No more earplugs, just roll up your ears into themselves. Jinx, human shape, number 124.
Human shape.
Yep, that's this description or type of Pokemon.
It's my description. It has several different cry patterns, each of which seems to have its own meaning. So it's basically a person.
Basically.
Okay.
It speaks a language similar to that of humans. However, it seems to use dancing to communicate.
It rocks its body rhythmically. It appears to alter the rhythm depending on how it is feeling.
So it's a toddler.
I guess.
Lantern. Light. Number 171. It blinds prey with an intense burst of light, then swallows the immobilized prey in a single gulp.
Oh. The light it emits is so bright that it can illuminate the sea's surface from a depth of 3 miles.
This Pokemon uses the bright part of its body, which changed from a dorsal fin, to lure prey.
Lickitung. Licking. Number 108. Its tongue has well-developed nerves that run to the very tip so it can be deftly manipulated.
Ooh. It has a tongue that is over 6 feet 6 inches long. It uses this long tongue to lick its body clean.
Why would you say it's over 6 feet 6 inches? Wouldn't you just say over 6 feet or over 6.5 feet? Like, if you're saying inches, it seems like you're getting more precise. Yeah. Sorry, I just thought it was weird.
That must be the minimum, I guess, because it's over that.
Okay, I could see that. Its long tongue, slathered with a gooey saliva, sticks to anything, so it is very useful.
That does not sound useful.
No, it doesn't.
Tangela, Vine, number 114. During battle, it constantly moves the vines that cover its body in order to annoy its opponent.
Interesting.
Why annoy them? Like, what?
It tangles any moving thing with its vines. Their subtle shaking is ticklish if you get ensnared.
The vines that cloak its entire body are always jiggling. They effectively unnerve its foes.
I'm feeling a little unnerved.
It's annoying, unnerving, jiggling.
Delibird. Delivery. Number 225.
Delivery?
Yeah, it's like a Santa Pokemon.
Oh. Big giant. Green giant. Green giant.
What?
It nests at the edge of sharp cliffs. It spends all day carrying food to its awaiting chicks.
As in babies or women?
Oh,
I'll leave that to your imagination.
well, the way the Delibird in the show acts might be women. It carries food all day long. There are tales about lost people who were saved by the food it had.
It always carries its food with it wherever it goes. If attacked, it throws its food at the opponent.
Him and his food, apparently.
So weird.
Swinub. Pig. Number 220. It rubs its snout on the ground to find and dig up food. It sometimes discovers hot springs.
Yeah, it does. We had a whole episode about that.
It uses the tip of its nose to dig for food. Its nose is so tough that even frozen ground poses no problem.
Oh.
If it smells something enticing, it dashes headlong off to find the source of the aroma.
Ivysaur. Seed. Number 2. The bulb on its back grows as it absorbs nutrients. The bulb gives off a pleasant aroma when it blooms.
If the bud on its back starts to smell sweet, it is evidence that the large flower will soon bloom.
Exposure to the sunlight adds to its strength. Sunlight also makes the bud on its back grow larger.
Charmeleon. Flame. Number 5. It has a barbaric nature. In battle, it whips its fiery tail around and slashes away with sharp claws.
It is very hot-headed by nature, so it constantly seeks opponents. It calms down only when it wins.
If it becomes agitated during battle, it spouts intense flames, incinerating its surrounding.
Charizard. Flame. Number 6. If Charizard becomes furious, the flame at the tip of its tail flares up in a whitish blue color.
It uses its wings to fly high. The temperature of its fire increases as it gains experience in battle.
Breathing intense hot flames, it can melt almost anything. Its breath inflicts terrible pain on enemies. So how does Ash feel getting burned by Charizard all the time?
Well, like we said, Team Rocket and Ash should be dead.
This is true.
That'd make for a different story.
Well, they've fallen off like cliff faces and survived.
Dragon.
Utini!
Dragon, number 147. It sheds many layers of skin as it grows larger. During this process, it is protected by a rapid waterfall.
Yeah, interesting. This Pokemon is full of life energy. It continually sheds its skin and grows steadily larger.
It is born large to start with. It repeatedly sheds its skin as it steadily grows longer. Alright, now that we covered our Pokedex entries, let's do Pokemon cards!
Woohoo! Alright, I start this week.
So we both got random packs. I'm opening Paldea Fate's Scarlet and Violet with a whale Pokemon on it.
Yeah, some white whale or something.
But not like the normal one, like Whalmer.
Yeah.
It's a different one.
And then I opened a Shrouded Fables pack with, I think, Monkey Dory on it. I think it's its name.
I think so.
Alright, so my first Pokemon is Dartrix. Evolves from Rowlet, Grass type.
Oh, I like that one.
It throws one knife-like feather after another at its enemies, and each one precisely strikes a weak point. These feathers are known as blade quills.
Oh.
Stuffle, colorless. Its fluffy fur is a delight to pet, but carelessly reaching out to touch this Pokemon could result in painful retaliation.
Oofda.
Houndoom, fire type, evolves from Houndour. Upon hearing its eerie howls, other Pokemon get the shivers and head straight back to their nests. Well, that's kind of a nice picture. Furfrou, colorless. Trimming its fluffy fur not only makes it more elegant, but also increases the swiftness of its movements. Cassiopeia.
Oh.
Well, that just revealed a secret to Scarlet and Violet for us.
Wasn't her name Penny?
Yep, Penny is Cassiopeia, apparently. Spoilers!
Wait, Cassiopeia, we know her, don't we?
She's the one that gets us the secret missions about Team Star.
Oh, goodness.
You can...
Interesting.
I actually kind of speculated she was probably the one, so it's not that big a deal.
I thought she had more going on than Shy Little Penny.
Oh, for sure. You can use this card only when it's the last card in your hand. Search your deck for up to 2 cards and put them into your hand, then shuffle your deck. Kyurem, Dragon type, ability, Plasma Bane. If your opponent has any cards in their discard pile that have colorless in the name, colorless in the name, this Pokemon can use the Trifrost attack for 1 less colorless energy. Otherwise, it uses 2 water, 2 steel, and a colorless. Oh wait,
cool.
No, you can this Pokemon can use the Trifrost attack for 1 colorless energy. Oh, so I just have to use the colorless energy. Even more powerful. Okay. Dwelling within it is a power even greater than that of Reshiram or Zekrom, but the extreme cold keeps that power bound. I got a Pokemon Tool Trainer card, Binding Mochi. We've had that plenty of times.
Oh, yeah.
Ooh, I got a Reverse Hollow Cassiopeia card.
That reveals a secret about the game.
I got a Reverse Hollow Joltik Grass type. Joltik can be found clinging to other Pokemon. It's soaking up static electricity because it can't produce a charge on its own. Ooh. And then I got Pecharunt EX Dark type. Ability, Subjugating Chains. Once during your turn, you may switch one of your benched Dark Pokemon except any Pecharunt EX with your active Pokemon. If you do, the new active Pokemon is now poisoned. You can't use more than 1 Subjugating Chains ability each turn. And then a Psychic Energy card.
Alright, my first card is Trainer Supporter card, Paldean Student. And it's like they're all wearing the orange, so it's Scarlet. No, yes. So my game.
Yes.
Search your deck for a Pokemon that doesn't have a rule box. Reveal it and put it into your hand. For each Paldean Student card, not including this card, in your discard pile, you may search for an additional Pokemon in this way. Then shuffle your deck. Pokemon EX, Pokemon V, etc. have rule boxes. Cottony, Psychic. Weaving together the cotton of both Cottony and Eldegoss produce exquisite cloth that's highly prized by many luxury brands. Lapras, Water type. Crossing icy seas is no issue for this cold resident Pokemon. Its smooth skin is a little cool to the touch. Mime Jr., Psychic. In an attempt to confuse its enemy, it mimics the enemy's movements. Then it wastes no time in making itself scarce. Supporter Trainer Atticus. We know an Atticus, don't we?
Atticus?
Yeah. He looks like he might be from Team Star.
Can I see?
Yes. I think he's probably one of the Team Star people. And I remember having
the poison Team Star.
You can use this card only if your opponent's active Pokemon is poisoned. Shuffle your hand into your deck, then draw 7 cards. Mashold, colorless, evolves from Tandemaus. The large pair protects the little ones during battles. When facing strong opponents, the whole group will join the fight. Oh, Supporter Trainer card, Iono. Each player shuffles their hand and puts it on the bottom of their deck. If either player put any cards on the bottom of their deck in this way, each player draws a card for each of their remaining prize cards. Ooh, that's actually kind of cool. Reverse Hollow Pikachu, Electric. When it is angered, it immediately discharges the energy stored in the pouches on its cheeks. Oh, Reverse Hollow Paldean Student. My rare is Mimikyu, Psychic. Ability Safeguard. Prevent all damage done to this Pokemon by attacks from your opponent's Pokemon EX and Pokemon V. This Pokemon lives in dark places untouched by sunlight. When it appears before humans, it hides itself under a cloth that resembles a Pikachu. Then a fighting energy. I've gotten that rare as like a uncommon before, just like normal. Alright, well that covers our episode for today. Routes Through Pokemon is a Hunterfield Institute production. You can find us on Apple, Spotify, Amazon, and other podcasting platforms. You can also find us on our YouTube channel, Hunterfield Institute, and just look for the Routes Through Pokemon playlist. You can reach us at our email, hunterfieldmanor@gmail.com, and you can also find Shea Locke on X at HunterfieldIns and Instagram at kinetic_card. You can also find our updated Pokedex entries, our tally counts, and our episode rankings on our Facebook page, Routes Through Pokemon. Next week, we will be covering 4 chapters of the Pokemon Adventures manga, Volume 12, and 6 episodes of the anime. In our first of 3 episodes, journeying us to the Blackthorn Gym in the anime. Thank you so much for listening, and we will catch you on the next route. Bye-bye.
Bye. Sayonara. Part 42. Real Lightning. Thunder rumbled all around as rain soaked the earth. Violet was drenched and miserable. She was feeling particularly annoyed at the Eevee with the pale fur that was darting off once again after sending a Pokeball right to her forehead. She had accidentally sent out V earlier when she had meant to bring out Mizu. She had been reluctant to let him out since he had been so disobedient lately, which had caused a girl to think Violet had stolen the Pokemon. Then he ran off, chasing something teleporting all around the area, when Violet had just wanted to reach Vermilion City before getting caught in a storm. Clearly, that plan had not worked out. To make matters worse, Violet's ankle still hurt, Mizu had been left at the Cerulean City Pokemon Center, and she had been nearly captured by Team Rocket. Again.
And I've only got 1 badge still, while that pink hair girl probably has already gotten her 2nd and almost a 3rd. I got the pleasure of having to rely on her and that brat for help just to get to town, and I lost my dad.
It all felt completely hopeless. Violet wanted to just flop onto the ground and give up. But then there was a brilliant flash of light, brighter than all the others that had been happening before. It was followed almost instantly by an explosion of thunder that the poor startled girl felt through her bones. Violet was instantly hit by a missile in the form of her Zubat, and Pilot, the Pidgey, was right behind it. They were both flapping their wings wildly as they scrambled at Violet's hands.
All right, just let me grab them.
She shook the pair off long enough to grab their Pokeballs and zap them back in and out of the frightening storm.
We can't stay out here.
She announced her decision to no one, really.
The lightning is too close.
She looked around for her other 2 Pokemon, but it was getting very difficult to see through the downpour of rain.
V, Spur, where are you? We've got to go.
There was no response at first, and then there was another blinding flash followed by another blast of thunder. Blinking away the spots, Violet tried again.
V, Spur, come on!
When there was still no response from her Pokemon, Violet threw her hands up in the air.
This is pointless. How could they hear anything with all this rain and thunder?
Since she wasn't about to abandon her Pokemon, the only thing she had left was to search for them. Of course, that wasn't going to be very easy with the sky so dark, all the tall grass, and so much rain. There was another flash of light, and Violet reflexively ducked her head in preparation for the thunder. But no boom followed, and she realized that this time it must have been that Abra again. If that was true, then maybe one of her Pokemon would aim for it. She whipped around and fought her way through her now heavy clothing to get closer to the teleporting Pokemon. As Violet drew near, she saw something explode from out of the rain and take a swipe at Abra. It connected, and once again the Pokemon vanished in a flash of light. She ignored the disappearance as she tried to follow the streak that had gone by instead.
Spur, is that you?
The Spearow let out a sharp cry of excitement as it shot through the rain, weaving around a sudden streak of lightning.
Hey, Featherbrain, you're gonna get yourself killed up there.
Spur offered a casual caw, seemingly unconcerned over Violet's worry.
Well, since you're having so much fun out there, can you locate V so we can get to town?
With an affirmative call, the Spearow went on the hunt for the missing Eevee. Violet followed as best she could, not wanting to lose sight of Spur so that she would know when V was found. But the curtain of water was hard to see beyond, and her eyes were constantly pelted with fat drops of rain. The girl was almost constantly having to look away and blink out the water before looking back, and then the lightning seemed to spite her and flash brilliantly just as she had cleared her eyes, causing her to go blind momentarily. Finally, there was a call of excitement from Spur, and Violet plowed ahead, following her ears instead of eyes. Through the rain, she could see the Abra just floating above the ground again. It was facing away from her, and it wasn't until there was a slight flick of the tail that Violet realized that, just between her and the Abra, was another Pokémon. She thought it could be V, but it was hard to tell with all its fur soaked.
V!
Violet hissed.
V, come here!
If it was V, then either she was too quiet, or the Eevee was intentionally ignoring her. She thought about grabbing his ball and just returning the Pokémon. Then she thought of a better idea. Getting a little closer, Violet grabbed the Pokéball that had connected with her forehead. She watched V closely, just waiting for him to pounce. The tail stopped moving, and she knew the moment had arrived. V leapt at the Abra, and Violet released the Pokéball. The Eevee connected with the teleporter just a hair before the Pokéball. The yellow creature only had a moment to give a look of surprise before it was sucked inside. It dropped to the ground. V turned around, also surprised by the sudden vanishing of the Abra, and Violet wasted no time aiming his Pokéball at him to return him in a flash.
Alright, I'll just grab this Pokéball, and then we need to get to Vermilion.
But when Violet arrived at the spot where she thought the ball had dropped, there was nothing there.
Oh, come on! Did I just lose another Pokemon?
A streak of lightning hit a nearby pond with a crash of thunder behind it, as if to tell Violet very loudly that yes, she did. To be continued.